Welcome back to Corporate Corridor. Now, before going on to break, we're talking about various aspects of the economy and what is the expectation in the upcoming budget. We're talking about that. We'll continue talking about that, starting off with you, Mr. Sultan, once again. Now, before going on to break, we did mention certain problems, certain recommendations for this upcoming budget. Now, one question which comes to mind is that you've been talking about zero rating of exports for the textile sector, import of machinery, etc. Now, if the government of Pakistan, let's say, in this upcoming budget does give you that clear indication, that clear advantage of a zero-rated export industry, will we be, number one, able to attract the buyers once again, and number two, deliver on time, because we have that constant problem of electricity, high interest rate scenario, and other basic infrastructure problems in the country?
Well, no, it will not eliminate all the causes which are hurting our export, but it will be a major factor which will help. You see, there are certain things that are beyond the control of an individual industry, individual industrialist. But if those aspects could somehow be managed by the government, law and order situation is beyond his means, but that impacts upon his export capacity and the perception of Pakistan as a reliable supplier of goods. That has to be taken care of. Electricity, that has got to be somehow managed. There's a huge area in which we could conserve our energy. Instead of wasting it on non-productive uses, we could somehow channelize whatever is available to manufacturing sectors, to productive sectors. So that is one area in which, again, there will be a certain help which would be required. Then the discount rate policy of the State Bank. As Umair Saab was mentioning, that there is a hope that it will be brought down to a single digit very soon, and that is, there could not be any sooner than yesterday. It should have come long ago, but it will help tremendously. So coming back to your question, the specific answer, yes, it will help. Though it will not be the only, it's not the only factor.
It's not the only solution, but it's part of the solution coming over there. All right. Okay, and Umair, now we've been debating about what the industries of Pakistan want, and now industries do have a direct proportional relation to our equity markets as well. Now, we've heard clearly that the equity market won't be taxed, but we're hearing of the real estate sector to be taxed this year, as well as the services sector. Now, with the services sector being taxed, we'll see the likes of banks being taxed perhaps, and they have a major stake in our equity market. Will that have a reaction on equity stakes as well?
Well, I mean, there's a talk of actually imposing tax on withdrawals from banks, few more, and that directly may or may not. I mean, that's really not going to affect valuations as such. But it'll be good. It'll be good because it's a large undocumented economy, and that's going to bring it under documentation. So that's a good thing. Other sectors that might be taxed are telecom, but seeing as how telecom rates, well, just in terms of calling tariffs and so on, are amongst the lowest in the world in Pakistan. I think there's definitely some room there. And historically, telecom has actually been a very large contributor to the exchequer. We've been contributing somewhere between 110 to 120 billion last year. That was a 22% increase from the previous year. And so there's definitely some room there. Because especially if you look at urban areas, a lot of telecom demand is quite inflexible. So these are some of the sectors that you can definitely expect some taxation in. Okay,
and with particular regard to the market, when could we see the market coming back on its feet? Now, tax issues have been solved. Will it be happening right before the budget, or could we be seeing that sort of consolidation phase starting right after the budget?
I think after the budget, definitely, especially a lot of it will also depend on your political situation. And if that's resolved, that will definitely provide some impetus to actually seeing a rally in the stock markets. Further to that, also as interest rates come off, and as I said, as the equity markets re-rate upward, that again will be a major driver.
All right, and remittance figures have been improving significantly as well. Does that seem to be a good growth figure? And since our foreign exchange reserves right now are standing at a constant path, going forward, what sort of measures need to be taken so that this growth momentum, which has started, let's say, under the IMF program, continues to improve and Pakistan is actually taken out of the problem it is in right now?
Well, definitely, I think increasing revenue collection is very important, is going to be a very key point for the next year. And then moving forward from that, definitely, I mean, there's going to be a big focus on, essentially on revenue collection in general. I think that's definitely what we're looking at.
That needs to be the key for this particular budget. Thank you very much, Umair, for joining me for Corporate Corridor. Thank you very much, Sultan, for joining us today. And we've been talking about the overall budget, the upcoming budget for the fiscal year 09 110 and what the expectations are. Now, one thing is very evident that under the IMF program, as well as looking at the revenue shortfalls of the government of Pakistan, there is a need for increasing the tax base of the country, for increasing tax revenue for the country, and as a result of that, the government of Pakistan, the think tanks are sitting and looking at different sectors which need to be taxed. However, there has been general consensus that new areas should be taxed which aren't under the tax bracket, because people who are already under the tax bracket face further burden every passing year when they are given more a higher percentage of taxes. So this time around, we are expecting a diversification of tax collection. So we'll just have to wait for the budget. Tentative date coming in is the 13th of June for the budget. But whatever final date does come in, we surely will be updating you here on Dawn News. That's about all from today's Corporate Corridor. Join me next week. We'll continue talking about the budget. Till then, you can write to me at corporatecorridor@dawnnews.tv. Till next week, from me, Zain Sohrawardi, and the rest of the Corporate Corridor team, it's goodbye.